So I'm going to talk all about the future of gain and what I think. So we can have the next one. I'm not a strategy guy. I was brought in to look at strategy. I haven't looked at much strategy yet because we've been doing lots and lots of work around kind of the day-to-day running of the organisation. But it's really, really important for me to kind of hear what everyone thinks from the board, through the medical advisory board, through our partners, and most importantly, from the people we support, to feed into what it's going to look like in the future. So we are in a year of development and growth. This morning we talked about last year. This is all about what we're doing next year. So we're all talking about how we're going to develop, how we're going to grow. We are putting together a new organisational strategy. I've sat down with the board online. We had a very good series of meetings to collect information. We did a listening exercise that Carol talked about earlier, where we captured loads of information from everybody and people fed into it. So you've got lots of information, and it's going to be evolving as we move forward and look at what that means for the organisation. We're doing huge amounts of work around new communication and engagement plans. That's part of what Chris has been brought in to do, is to try and support the development of that. We've got a task and finish group with the trustees that look specifically at it. We're going to get a new website. We're looking at our social media, and hopefully people have seen an improvement in that since January. But we're looking at more and more to build on how we reach people, and that's a theme that will come through. We're developing our core support offer, something Carol talked about earlier as well. I'm going to leave that one for the next slide because this is all about support. For me, this is the main thing we're here for, is to support people. So it's our primary function. It's our core thing we do. And we need to, in my view, we need to do it better. And we're going to do a new financial strategy. So we're looking at how we spend that money. So you heard all about the money earlier on. It's quite clear to recognise that there is some money there. We need to make sure we use it properly and effectively and appropriately. So we're going to put a financial strategy in to how we spend against 3 core areas. And those 3 core areas, the first one is support. So it's our main thing we do. We're going to continue to move, and this is something we've been working on since January. It's something that Claire, who is the one who you normally speak to when you pick up the phone, unless she's not there, then get me, is we've been moving away from what I think was a signposting service. What we did is we picked up the phone and we said, we'll point you towards somebody else. And that's not what we're doing. Or we pick the phone up and say, who are you? How are you? What can we do to help? And then we build a relationship and we work with people to find what people need. And then we meet it. Now, we can't do everything. Claire's great, but she doesn't know everything in the world. So we don't need to signpost to other people, and that's fine. But we always check first to see if we can do it first and move from there. That's about being person-centered. We want to build a really person-centered service, something that's built around people, and making sure that we find out what people's needs is, and then we meet it. We're doing huge amounts of work around volunteers. I'm going to say it now. I think we've let down with our volunteers in the past. We haven't communicated properly. We haven't supported. We haven't trained. And we're changing that. There's a huge piece of work we're doing at the minute to build new systems and new services. John's going to talk a little bit about some of that later because he's helping out in terms of developing some of that. And there's a lot to do. But what we want to do is we want to build on what is really, really effective and excellent peer support, which is working really, really well. We want more of that happening, but we also want volunteers to do other things as well. Like running local get-togethers. Those local groups, you remember this bunch of guys, that's our Lancashire and Cumbria group. They're amazing. They're fantastic. But you know what? They're the only one who survived COVID out of all our groups. John set up, since then, he set up Leeds, he set up York, got 2 more groups. I've got, how many, 16 have we got? Was it on a list of other potential groups to come forward? People want these. We need to make sure it happens, but I need to put the infrastructure in place to support it. And the board have made the decision that we will support these groups. We'll fund them. We'll support them to do what they need to do so we can reach more people and support them. But to do that, we need volunteers who are trained and are able to do that effectively and supported to do that from us, for those who are online from that group, from head office, mystical head office. We need to work more with clinicians and medical professionals and organisations linked to more people. We heard about it earlier. Gordon mentioned it. He goes out and talks to people. We need that. We need volunteers going out and doing that like they used to do and speaking more. But most importantly, this is the bottom line here. It's really, really, really important, and it's our biggest issue by far. We need to increase our reach and our impact. Our reach is not good enough. There's lots and lots of people with GBS, with CIDP, with MMN, with other conditions who do not know we exist. That's simply not good enough. We're not going to reach everyone. It's impossible. We need to reach more. We reach more people. We support more people. Our impact is better, and that's our job. Sorry. Next one. So that's support. Sorry, there is a danger that I'll start soapboxing, and get going, get passionate. Bear with me. If it is, I'm looking at this group here to calm me down, calm down and sit down. Right, research. We need a research strategy. We haven't got one. So at the minute, we heard earlier, we invested money in clinical research, but that was a legacy. That was from a while back. So that money got spent, but there isn't anything in the pipeline at the minute. And I'm not an expert in clinical research. I don't know what to invest in. My medical advisory board do. Professor Richard Hughes knows. You kind of know as well. Everybody knows. But we need that fed in so we can make sure we invest properly. And like Sean said earlier, it's really easy to invest lots of money very quickly, but we need to be effective and wise. We need to build something. So we need to identify and fund more clinical research, and that might mean competitions, it might mean commissions to do that kind of work, but we need to do it. But we also, and this is really important to me, we also need to develop social research projects. And I spent how many hours yesterday? I lost track. And then a lot of hours with colleagues from the foundation looking at potential joint social research projects that we can look at. And we're going out to the global community, not just the UK and Ireland community, which is my remit, but the global community, to ask people what their priority is, what's important to you. So we can then look at what we fund, what we do. We can do some social research and find out a bit more about the really important things that matter to people impacted by these conditions. We can get the research, we can get the data, we can get the information, and that will help us build projects to actually meet that, whether they're pilots, whether they're one-off things that get us more information, but it's all about impact. We can find it out more. And then we fund and facilitate those projects. We've got the funding to do that. We've aligned the budgets. We've got money. We're looking to actually spend that down a little bit, but we've got a lot of money there. What we don't want to do is spend it all willy-nilly. It's a terrible expression, which I wish I had used. But what we do need to do is target it appropriately and really spend that money well on some really meaningful pieces of work. And finally, raising awareness. This is really important. I said earlier, we need to reach more people. I mean, how many people here struggled to find us when they had their condition? Yeah, whoa, no. I mean, really, it was a rhetorical question. I know the answer. It's really difficult to find us. And that's part of what that branding and identity piece of work is that we're doing at the minute. Please remember to fill that in. I believe one person has done it. So can we make sure that we all do, please? And if you need me to bring you things and talk people through it, then I will. In fact, at Trade, I'll put some copies on all the tables. We've got to develop more effective communication, because at the minute we're not effectively communicating. People don't know that they can't find us. And when they do, we don't always communicate in really easy ways. Co-production and engagement. I've got a career on this. This is about talking to people. First thing I did, listen to exercise on people. It doesn't work. If I come in and go, these are my ideas, you lot are going to go, who's this idiot? Coming in here with these fancy sapping ideas, it won't work. So it's all about listening to people and actually taking that on board and doing something with it. And we will do that. We promise to do that. We are doing it. And then we need to make sure people, including medical professionals, and that's not you guys, because you know about this, but many others, particularly GPs, and A&E doctors, which is where we seem to get most issues coming from, that they actually know about these conditions. They're aware about them. And not just those conditions, about us. And they can pull people towards us, which is a big gap. If you know about us, you know about us, you tell your patients about us. If you never heard of us, how can you pass that on? We need to better what we're doing it. So the three areas, I forgot about this slide, not all about me, but it is. My vision. So I came in with this is what I want to do. I want Gain to become known as an organisation that meets the needs of its communities, that we actually go out and meet those needs, and that we're known amongst our peers as an exemplar example of good practice, so that all of our peer organisations look at us and go, those guys are good, we should copy them. That's what I'm after. We really, really, really need to meet people's needs. Otherwise, what's the flipping point of having this organisation if it's not meeting the needs of the people we are here to support? I promise you that is what we will do. And I tell you, you can hold me to account for that. If we aren't doing that, you tell these guys, let me get rid of me, because I absolutely promise that's what we will do. So, this is what I want you to do. I just talked about 3 things. Remember, support, research, raising awareness. On your tables, there are post-it notes. I want you to put down what you think are the most important things about support.